This is the Relationship Capital Podcast, where we talk to the top thought leaders and practitioners from around the world about how to grow your most valuable resource, your network. I'm your host, Adrian Chenault, and Relationship Capital is brought to you by your friends at Contact Mapping, the #1 app for building your network. Hello, everybody. It's Adrian Chenault, and welcome back to the Relationship Capital Podcast. I am so happy to have our guest today because she's somebody who does not look like it's possible she has been in the network marketing profession for a long time, but has been in the network marketing profession for a long time and has really demonstrated how it's possible to create success over and over again if you do the right things. And so, Michelle Barnes, welcome to the podcast today. It's great to have you. How are you?
Hey, I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It's like basically my most favorite topic. So it's going to be fun.
Fantastic. Well, we always kind of start in the same place. And so I'll ask an opening question, and then wherever the conversation leads us, we'll take it from there. But we really have a heart for people who are in the mode of how do I grow my business in a way that is consistent with my values of relationships, of caring about people, of not treating people like, spaghetti to throw against the wall. And so if somebody's really trying to use relationships the right way to grow a business, whether it's in network marketing or really in any other home business, what's your #1 piece of advice for them, Michelle?
Oh gosh. Okay. You're going to die laughing, Adrian. So my #1 piece of advice when it comes to building relationships is don't be a freaking weirdo.
We got the title of the podcast right there. Don't be a freaking weirdo.
Weirdo, I'm just a big one for treat people the way you want to be treated. You don't want someone to be a freaking weirdo with you, and you don't want them to be spammy. You want them to jump down your throat with both feet. And it's you want them to actually care about you. And so when you authentically, sincerely care about people, the rest becomes very, very simple. And it's not always easy. I mean, I've been in this profession now, the end of this month, beginning of next month is 25 years. Wow. So a quarter of a century, I've been doing network marketing full time, full force. But, I waited tables and bartended. I mean, I sold books door to door for a summer. I mean, all of those things, I was a personal trainer. So all of those things take building relationships. And so yeah, that's my #1 rule is just don't be a freaking weirdo.
And I think that's so well said. And yet, what happens, and so we should dive a little bit deeper, is nobody's born a weirdo, really. Most of the people who we're talking about here are not weirdos in the rest of their life outside of what they're doing in network marketing. Right. And so what is it? Is it bad advice? Is it how do we fall into that trap? Because so many of us do at some point along the way, and maybe you're still stuck there.
I look back when I first started in this profession, and, I think I was trying so hard to be someone else, or I was trying so hard to learn scripts and, what to say and what not to say. And it almost became robotic, mm-hmm. And people sense that and they feel that, and so when I started really doing a lot of the personal development, I think that's when a lot of my relationship skills were enhanced because, I had a mentor that said, read How to Win Friends and Influence People, said, mm-hmm. read the book the entire way through, and then read the first 3 chapters 3 times, and it'll change your life forever. Wow. And it absolutely did. I read the full book. I read the first 3 chapters 3 times. I mean, I was very, very coachable, put it that way. If somebody said go left, I went left. If they said go right, I went right. Call it naive, stupid, smart, whatever. I was very coachable. So when they said read the book, I read the book. Mm-hmm. When they said do the thing, I did the thing. And for me, when I read that book, I was like, oh my gosh, it was like a 2x4 to my forehead. I was like, I need to start just being me. I need to just be me. And I always say your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
You're not looking for everyone. You're looking for the people who see what you see, I love bringing people into this business that I would go have a cocktail with, or that I would go have lunch with, or that I would go have coffee with, that I would like to hang out with regardless of whether they were in this business or not. Well, the only way that's going to happen is if you focus on friends first.
Right.
And so that has been probably my biggest motto for 25 years is friends first. Develop the friendship. It doesn't mean you can't pop the question. It doesn't mean you can't ask them if they're open to taking a look at what you got, whether it be your products or your service or your business. But, a lot of it is really just building a true relationship. And when you do that, I mean, they will eventually open the door for you to walk right through when it comes to your business. And timing is everything, so if you're planting those seeds and you're cultivating these relationships, the timing will come when like I said, they'll open the door for you to walk right through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there was a lot of good stuff there. And so I want to dive a little bit deeper into a couple of things. So you talked about your initial experience getting started in the profession, and you weren't born with this big personality, and you were just you're so fluid talking now. I would imagine that wasn't how you didn't come out of the womb that way. Is that true?
No, I definitely was a chatterbox. I came out of the womb definitely talking,
Yeah.
maybe not saying the right things. My mom always said, "You've got the gift to gab. I hope you get paid for it," because
you found a good profession for that.
Face off. And it's funny, like I was the kid that always got moved in class for talking to someone, and it's like, doesn't matter where you move me, I'm still going to talk to people. So move me wherever you want, teacher. Yeah. But it's funny because it's like every report card that came home, was like, she's a great student, she just talks too much, or she socializes too much. And now I'm like, now I get paid to speak. So, it's like, so there.
You did pretty well by that. And so at the beginning, maybe you as that sort of chatterbox personality type, was your tendency to kind of overtalk?
Oh, absolutely. Oh God. Like I had to definitely learn to just zip it,
Okay.
And I had to definitely learn to use the tools because I was the tool a lot.
Yeah.
And I always had that personality type, like if you want it done right, do it yourself,
Yep.
and obviously, which is not duplicatable whatsoever. And so for me, it did take, I would almost like literally verbal vomit on people because I would almost talk them into it and out of it in the same conversation. It's like, instead of just letting them say yes, I just kept going and going. And so I did have to learn how to reel it in. I had to learn how to be a good listener. I mean, part of building relationships, the biggest part of building relationships is actually truly listening to someone and not just waiting for your turn to talk.
I think that's so important. And especially for somebody, I come from maybe the other end of the spectrum naturally of being more sort of the person who wants to say the right thing, is slow to talk. And so, that end of the spectrum, I think it's often, you rely too heavily on these scripts and you're not fluid about the way you talk about it. But either one of those things are kind of equally doing that same challenge, which is that you've got to learn to create the space to develop a real relationship and a real connection. And
Yeah.
if you're just hammering through some script, or just vomiting up all of your enthusiasm about whatever it is, and you're not you're fire hosing them, they're not going to be able to really digest the message that you're sharing with them, right?
It's so true. Yeah. And I mean, I think that, when you really start to listen to people, like they'll tell you exactly what they're looking for, and getting better at asking the right questions. I know a lot of obviously starting 25 years ago, I was building offline. Now I build up pretty much 100% online. But for me, it's the same philosophies. It's the same foundational philosophy, whether it's offline or online. It's, we used to talk about form, family, occupation, recreation, motivation.
Yep.
And I mean, I think it's still important, whether it's offline or online, to find out those things about people and to actually really care,
Yes. Yeah. And that's the part that you can't, however good you think you are at faking it, you can't fake it.
Yeah. No. And people
Absolutely.
feel that, and so that's why I think it's also important to, attract people that you actually want to know more about, and that you want to hang out with. And I think, a big thing for me when I was like 23 or 24 years old is I learned the personality types,
Mhm.
and that was like a huge aha moment for me because I was treating everybody as if they had the exact same personality as me.
Yeah.
That their wants and needs and motivation and everything was the same as mine. So I was blowing out 90% of the people in the beginning, because I thought their goals should be my goals, and I thought they should want what I want and they should do what I do, and it's obviously a small percentage that's going to do that. So it's learning how to love on people and meet them where they're at.
So true. And so, you've been, that's so cool that, congratulations on 25 years in the profession. That's really cool. And so, through that time, you have, like many people that have been in the profession for a long time, companies come and go, and you've been through that a couple of times. And so two things I want to ask about that. One is, we've talked about this before, that there are a couple of really big people who have chosen to join you in the next thing when something goes away. And so talk about, what is it that you think you have done to cultivate those kinds of relationships with those people, being in the same company together, where they go, okay, whether I like it or not, I have a do-over now, and I want to do it over with Michelle again and not go find somebody else.
That's kind of the coolest thing. I was thinking about this podcast while I was getting ready and stuff, and this morning, and writing notes and preparing and whatever, and I was thinking about it. Like, there are people that have been with me for all 25 years that are still with me today, and some of them are making a ton of money, and some of them aren't really making that much money. So a lot of times it is, Zig Ziglar always says, help enough people get what they want and you'll get what you want. And, people don't know how much you don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. All of those little quotes, they seem so cliche, but it's true. And I think that one thing that I've always had going for me in the 25 years is people know that I'm not full of crap. They know that I really do care about them, and that at the end of the day, I will always treat them the way that I want to be treated. And to me, it's like pretty simple. It's like the golden rule. This is not rocket science, you know? And so, I mean, I think, and I've had people come and go, like I've had people that have been on my team that have, gone somewhere else, or maybe they quit network marketing for a while. And then when they want to come back, I'm the first person they think of. And it's because not only do I create great relationships with people, but I also maintain them and sustain them.
Yeah.
And it's not just about whether they're in my team or making me money, and it's kind of crazy, Adrian, because over the years, I mean, I remember probably 15 years ago, a woman came into my business. She became one of my best friends. And when she quit the industry, she wondered, if I was going to still be friends with her. And I
Yeah.
was shocked because I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I don't give a crap. Like, do I want you to lock arms with me and run in this industry? Absolutely. But if you don't, like, we're friends first. Like, my relationship with you as one of my best friends is never going to change. And it's amazing how many people are still my best friends today that maybe aren't even in the industry anymore.
Right.
And so, yes, the relationships are the number one key in network marketing, but it's the number one key in life,
Yeah.
And I love the fact that I'm still friends with all those people.
And I think that's a huge lesson. And I think also one of the lessons that I have learned from you is not to take your good leaders for granted, right? Because I think that's an easy thing to do too. Like, oh, well, you have some superstars in your team.
Yeah.
Oh, they're good. Like, what do they need from me? What do I have to give to whatever, whatever story you tell yourself, or just, we're both so busy, but they got this, it's good. Like, you don't, you got to constantly love on those people out of the, like, the goodness of your heart, out of the, the care for the relationship. But like, it's really important. And it's amazing, having grown up around this profession with my dad, how often I have been sort of party to seeing other leaders who, just kind of lose track of that. And then all of a sudden somebody leaves that was really important to their income and their team and everything. And they go, whoa, then they're all upset. But it's like, well, that's why you have to make sure you keep investing, right?
Yeah. And I think that that's where also is like getting your ego out of the way. Like I have leaders in my team that run circles around me when it comes to certain areas of the business, but that's what makes it work.
Right.
We always say your ego's not your amigo. It's like get your ego out of the way and just realize like we all bring something very special to the table.
Yeah.
And maybe I have strengths that they don't, maybe they have strengths that I don't, but that's where the teamwork, we always say teamwork makes the dream work, and it really does. And that's where I think a lot of the top leaders in my organization that I'm so blessed to have in my team, and don't take them for granted ever. But I think that's where we really like come together and work so well together, and really complement each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've observed your team. I've observed, what some of those people say about you, the great things they say about you behind your back. And so I know kind of the culture that you have created in your team, and some of the really, really high quality people, both that have been around with the profession or with you for a long time, but also some people who have really been rising stars in the profession that you found and have mentored and cultivated. Is there any kind of pattern recognition for you as far as when you have somebody really special, first of all, and like in the early days before that's apparent because of their rank? And then secondly, how do you, any advice you have on kind of how you can show up when you do encounter that kind of person? Because I think often when we're getting started, maybe we know somebody that's like, that person is going to be, if I could really get them to come and join me in this, they would be incredible. But they're so far above my weight class that like, I don't even know what to do. What would you say to someone in that scenario?
I stole something like years and years and years ago from Jordan Adler. And he used to always talk about, finding key people. And he would always say that a key person does three things. They call you, they show up, they do something. So they call you with excitement and questions. So they're constantly calling you and reaching out to you. So they call you, they show up. It means they're plugged in. They're plugged into the calls and the events and whatever it is. The group pages. Obviously we do a lot online now. And they do something. They're doing the income producing activities. They've got a DMO, a daily method of operation, where they're doing the things that matter to move their business forward. And if they're not doing all three of those things, they're not a key person. Yep. And the thing that was like magical to me with the first time I heard that is a key person will always define themselves.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to call, I don't have to make sure that John's plugged in. I don't have to make sure that, these amazing leaders in my team, I don't have to like be like, hey, are you on the team call this Saturday? Right. You know what I mean? Like, hey, are you working? Did you do your personal development today? Like, you know what I mean? So right. A key person will always define themselves. And then the way to find key people is to be one. Like the only way you're going to bring key people into your organization is by being a key person. Yeah. Like to this day, I still lead by example 25 years later. I've started 7 new teams in the last 6 weeks. So I am still in the trenches, but you can tell when someone's still in the trenches because it's in our language. Yep. It's in our posture, it's in our language, it's in every fiber of our being, when you're still in the trenches and you're in phase 1. And phase 1 to me is recruit and sell every single day. And I do those things every single day, So I think, leading by example, there's probably nothing better to build a strong, solid team than to be leading by example.
That's a great lesson. And what I love about it too is everything you just shared, like however green you are, whatever experience or lack of experience you have, like you can do those 3 things. There's nothing stopping you from doing any one of those 3 things. And so you have no excuse not to. And if you're wondering why you don't, like you said, if you're wondering why people that aren't showing up that look like that in your business, the first place to check is if you're showing up like that, because otherwise that person is going to look, even if you find them, they're going to look right past you because they're not looking for somebody that isn't walking the talk.
It's true. And I think that, for me, like I teach my team, I call it APR, absolute personal responsibility. And when you take 100% responsibility for where you are or where you aren't, in your life and in your business, when you look in the mirror and go, hey, if it's to be, it's up to me. I love what Jim Rohn says. He's like, you can't hire someone to do your push-ups for you, you know? And I think that that is so true. And so it's like, no, this ain't going to build itself, you know,
Yep.
like it takes time and energy and effort and consistency. And I think that's one thing that I did at a very young age was I mastered the mundane. Like I was willing to do the same things over and over, day in, day out, until I got good at it. I actually just did a post on my Facebook page today and just said, hey, you know, like do the things you don't want to do it enough and you'll get better at it, and your confidence goes up, your fear goes down, and then it makes you want to do it even more. And when you do things over and over and over, you can't help but freaking get better at it.
Right.
You know, it's like anything. But a lot of times people in network marketing, they're just like, oh God, I suck at recruiting, or I suck at this, or I suck at that. And it's like, well, first of all, stop telling yourself that.
Yeah.
You know, thoughts are things. So whatever you think is. So, you know, disempowering beliefs and empowering beliefs, you know, which ones, what are you saying to yourself, you know? And so I think when you make a commitment like, hey, you know, this is where I want to go. If there's people in my company that are already doing it, so can I? I just need to do what they do. And it's not rocket science. And I think a lot of times people try to reinvent the wheel. I never did. I wasn't a really like a big, you know, reinvent the wheel type of person. You know, I was just very like, okay, this is what the 6 and 7 figure earners are doing. So that's what I'm going to do, you know?
Yeah. And that's a gift to not fall into that trap, because it's 100% reinventing the wheel is a trap every time.
Every time.
Yeah. So find someone like Michelle, find somebody who has done it, and really, really ask them what to do, and really show up energetically like, I'm going to do what you say, and then freaking do it.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to be like Michelle. That's how you get to be like these people who have created these incredible residual incomes for themselves. Is you don't have to go, and there's no secret. Like they will tell you their secrets if you ask, but your end of the deal is you have to actually do it, right?
Yeah. And I also think, like, you know, you can't really compare. We always say, don't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 22.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been doing this 25 years. I mean, day in, day out. I hope to God I've gotten a little better. You know, I'm like, if not, something's really wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think it's anything. Like I always tell people, like, look, you know, if I walked into your full-time job today and tried to do what you do, whatever it is, you know, even with, you know, contact mapping or whatever, if I walked in and tried to do all the things you do, I would be like a fish out of water. I'd be uncomfortable. I wouldn't know what I was doing, and there'd have to be like a learning curve. And so, I mean, but it's not, you know, there's nothing in our business that you can't learn or that you can't get better at. And, you know, I think going back to the whole relationship piece, you know, like when I was 23, I mean, I had no business being in business, you know, like I love people. And I think that is a huge, you know, benefit and blessing. I was always the one that was like the people watcher. Like I always wonder what people do, like driving down the street. I'd be like, wonder what he does for a living, you know, or like I always just wonder what people were thinking and what their lives like. Now I get to ask, you know, and so that has definitely been a blessing, but I don't think I was always good at building relationships. I've definitely gotten better over the 25 years with the personal development, you know, in this space.
That's really, really cool. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for doing this. I want to give you the chance, if there's any other sort of topics on your mind or anything else that you want to share with our audience before we wrap up, I want to give you the chance to do that. So anything else you'd like to share before we finish up today?
I think the biggest thing is that human connection, you know, and the way that you connect with other human beings is by caring. And, you know, that's what I love about what you do. I'm like pretty old school. I've got, you know, my follow-up book right here, you know, but I take notes on people like crazy. You know, I will stalk their Facebook page before I even reach out to them so that I can find a connection. And I think when you find those connections, that me too, it like solidifies the relationship so much more and so much faster. So like, I talk to hundreds, if not thousands of people. So there's no way I'm going to remember every little thing about every single person, you know, so I am definitely the one that like puts all the notes down, you know, and I write everything down, like their kids' names and how old their kids are and what their husband's name is and, where they live, so that I can be like, oh, next time I'm talking to them, I can say, oh my gosh, how's Sarah and Tommy? And then that person's like, holy crap, how'd she remember my kids' names? And they think I'm amazing. I'm not. I put it in my notes, but my intention was to know that. And eventually, like, I do remember it and I can ask off the top of my head, but I think just, sincerely caring about people, like, that's what people really want, no matter what industry they're in, no matter what business they're in. People want to be appreciated. People want to be respected. People want to be cared for. So, again, it's not that hard, but it does take a very intentional effort, I think.
Yes. Yeah, very, very well said.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for doing this today. Where would you, if people want to reach out and connect with you, where's the best place for them to come and find you?
Probably Facebook, number one. I build my business 100% through social media. So mine is Michelle Barnes, Success Coach, on both Facebook and Instagram. I also have mentoringbymichelle.com that people can go there and put their information in. I also have a free goal setting training there that's mentoringbymichelle.com/goals. But yeah, I love helping anyone and everyone, doesn't matter what company they're in. To me, it's like, holy cow, this is the second half of my life. I've been doing this business, more than half my life. And so for the second half of my life, to me, it's about really making an impact and really showing people what this industry can do for people.
That's so cool. Well, thanks again. I really enjoyed the conversation, Michelle Barnes, and thanks so much for listening today, everyone. We will see you next time on the Relationship Capital Podcast. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate you.